Hi guys, welcome to Successful Meets, and I'm absolutely honoured today to have the incredible Evan Carmichael on the show. I'm overwhelmed. I can't believe you've actually decided to come on the show. We've been looking forward to this for a long time. The work that you do is incredible, but also I like the manner in which you deliver your work. So Evan, I've read your book, One Word. Tell our audience is going to know who you are anyway. You've got 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It's quite amazing, but just let's briefly go over the sort of work that you do.
Well, first off, thanks to the love, Richard. It's awesome to be here. I love the mission of what you guys are trying to do. I think it's really important, and it's an honor to be a part of your show here. What do I do? So I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem. I think we're very much aligned on that front. I think the world's biggest problem is untapped human potential. I think most people are not doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing. I think Michael Jordan is not the best basketball player of all time, or David Beckham is not the greatest soccer player, football player of all time. The greatest football player of all time is a Starbucks manager because he never picked up the ball. Right. And so that's the problem that I'm trying to solve. I want people to find the thing that they have David Beckham-like talent at, and then go all in and apply it, where most people are doing the thing they're not supposed to. And so I think we're very much aligned on that. The way that I execute it is through my YouTube channel. We profile successful people from all walks of life, try to tell their story, try to give some inspiration, as well as tactics for people to become a success. And then through my books, I have 2 books out now, and hopefully they reach more people as well and help spread the message.
It's fantastic, and what I really like about what you're doing it, and to say it is aligned with us. And what we always tend to do is we do something that we solve a problem for other people that we had for ourselves. So was there a point where you felt like you had untapped potential, but you had no one to help bring it out of you?
Yeah, I think whatever your mission is, for the people who are on that path, whatever your mission is, it always comes from a place of pain and suffering earlier on in your life.
Yeah.
And that you then figured out how to get through it, and now you want to make the road easier for other people. And so for me as an entrepreneur, I really struggled in my first years. In my first business, I was 19. I was making $300 a month, turned down huge jobs to do this business that I thought would, take off. And it was the lowest point in my life, just in terms of self-confidence, self-belief. My one word is believe. And I just felt so bad about myself. I felt worthless. Like I was putting in tons of effort and energy and was not getting any kind of meaningful results. And we eventually figured it out, and we could talk about that journey if you want. But that pain of trying to be an entrepreneur and feeling so bad about myself made me want to make the road easier for other entrepreneurs who are trying to go down that same path. And hopefully by learning through my story, people don't have to have as much pain themselves. I believe that entrepreneurs will solve all the world's major problems. I don't think it's going to be, governments or big corporations. It's going to be entrepreneurs. And so if I can help inspire entrepreneurs to go off and, I can't cure cancer, but I hope that I can inspire the entrepreneur who can cure cancer to go do that instead of being a dentist because that's what their mom wanted them to do.
Yeah, so you want to be kind of the litmus paper that fired that within the people to go out and do what they're supposed to do. And so, give them the motivation that they need and to sort of succeed. It's incredible what you've managed to do. You've got 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and that's really hard to do. I mean, as someone who's trying to build any sort of audience, especially, and I know the rules have kind of changed and that the landscape has changed lately. But I really want to hear more about your story and about that point. I remember there's a point where you were sitting on your stairs and you were thinking about quitting, or not quitting, but leaving the job that you're doing, your own business, and you had a moment where you broke down. I mean, these are the moments that in the films that we really sort of poignant moments. Can you talk us through that?
Richard's taking me right to the pain. He's taking me right to the pain. So listen, I turned down huge jobs to take this opportunity. I took it because I was worried that I would live with regret, which I didn't want to do. In my personal life, I had a regretful moment the year before that I then promised myself I would never live with regret. And so I went all in on this business. And it's my own fault too, in that I was too embarrassed to tell my friends that I wasn't having success. I'm making $300 a month. I couldn't afford to go have pizza and beer with my friends. And I would just tell them I'm too busy. I'm living the entrepreneur life. I'm always working. But really, it's like $20 is too much. I could not afford that. And so I could have made it easier on myself. I'm sure they would have understood if I said, "Hey guys, I'm struggling." I'm sure we could have found just hang out at home, or somebody would have spotted me. I was just too kind of pride driven and too embarrassed, really, what it was. And so we were trying a whole bunch of different things with our companies, and we were working really hard. I showed up every single day. We're pounding it to try to get our businesses going. And I'm eating beans for lunch every single day. And I don't know. I think you can only take so much of feeling terrible about yourself before something has to change. And so my business partner and I were starting to get into some disagreements over what direction we should take. He wanted to go one way, I wanted to go another way. And it got to the point where I was at a family dinner, Thanksgiving or Christmas or something. And I was on the phone with my partner, and we disagreed over what we should do next. And I just told him that I quit. Like, I can't do this anymore. I need to feel like I'm doing something that is meaningful and that my time is actually worth something. And this is too much for me. And I quit. So I told him I quit. And I hung up the phone and just started crying. And probably the most I've cried and the worst I've cried ever in my life. Stuff coming out of my nose, just how much work I had put in to that, and me giving up on something that I cared about. If you quit on something that you didn't care about, it doesn't matter. But you quit on something that you put a lot of time and effort and energy and self-identity into, and then it fails, and you're quitting on it. That sucks. And so my mom came up. She heard me crying. She put her hand on my shoulder. I'm about 20 years old at this point. She says something to me. I don't remember it. I'm lost in the whole different world. I'm sure it was comforting and full of love. Tried to sleep that night. It was a terrible night. And then I woke up the next morning, and I just realized, I can't quit on this yet, because still I don't want to live with regret. I don't want to feel like in 10 years, what if I just gave it an extra 3 months or an extra 6 months? Like, what if I just gave it a little bit more? Am I totally spent out that I could say I gave it everything I have and that's it? And I realized, no, like, I still have a little bit more in me. And the aha moment that really helped propel my business forward was realizing I'm not the first guy to try to sell software before. This problem that's in front of me, I'm not the first guy to try to solve it. Maybe nobody's written a book about it for biotech software. That's what we were selling. But I said, who's sold a lot of software, and how can I model them? And that's where I learned about Bill Gates, researched his story, how he started Microsoft. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to apply this to my business. And I went to my business partner. We worked out of his apartment. He worked in a little den, and I worked from his dining room table because the den was too small for both of us to work out of.
Yeah.
So I showed up at his apartment, and to his credit, I had just said that I quit on him the night before, and here I am now showing up, and I didn't know how he would react. And to his credit, he just opened the door, looked at me, and we went back to work. And he didn't give me the, well, you quit on me, what happened, and get into a fight. I think he just understood the pressures that can come with it. I'm sure he was feeling, some of the same things as well. And luckily now that new strategy that modeling success, this is why I care so much about modeling success. This is why, there's people on the wall behind me, and the videos that I make and the books that I write, because I learned from Bill Gates how he built Microsoft. I applied that to my business. Within a couple months, I had my first check from that strategy for $13,500 to a UK company, which was awesome. Gotta love the UK companies. And listen, that may not sound like a lot of money, $13,500, but when you're making $300 a month and you have zero momentum, that was a lifeline. That was like, wow, this might actually work. Like, just a little bit of hope, a tiny sliver of light that you can see. And, more important than just that one sale, now I had a model to replicate. Like, I could find other partners to go and do this with as well. And that started to build a company. We sold to NASA and Johnson & Johnson and customers in 30 countries. We got acquired. And then, I made it part of my mission to try to help other entrepreneurs not feel the lows that I was feeling. And so that kind of long story of how I got into this industry and why I care so much about entrepreneurs.
It's incredible. And I think the bit in the middle is the point from where you went back that day and you spoke to your partner and you got on with it. I mean, there were some changes. How did you sort of implement those changes in that little period? Because that little period is the bit that changed things, and I think a lot of people want to know that what happened in that little sort of gap between getting that 1,300 to the day you walked back through that door. Was there a change in the dynamic between you two? Was there just a change in the way you did things?
I think when I just first kind of walked in, it was just trying to get back to business as usual, just try to put behind what had happened the other day. I think I had a renewed sense of hope and optimism. So I learned how Bill Gates started Microsoft, and he had a strategy that he used that we weren't using yet in our business. And I thought, okay, like if it worked for Bill Gates, why can't it work for us? Mm-hmm. And that leaning in on the inspiration. So here's a guy who was in software. It's my field. Here's how he had success. And it just made me feel like I could do it. It gave me a little bit of hope. It was the inspiration from somebody who's made it, as well as a tactic of here's what I can actually do that I haven't tried yet. And so that gave me extra energy. That gave me extra hope. That gives me extra motivation. And I think when you are an entrepreneur, you then bring that to the people around you too, especially if you have a partner. So I think my energy helped bring up him as well, right? And so luckily it wasn't, 3 years to get a payoff. It was 2 or 3 months. And before even getting the check, though, we had some early traction and momentum with it. Before somebody would give us a $13,500 check, there's momentum, there's back and forth, right? And so you could see, hey, like this might actually happen. We might actually make this giant sale. At least it was giant at that time to us. And so momentum is just so important. Mindset is so important. If you're as an entrepreneur or even just embarking down a path that the people around you don't necessarily support or believe in. If somebody's trying to do personal development and their parents disagree with it, or their husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend thinks it's stupid, none of your friends kind of get you, it's really hard. It's hard to keep going. It's hard to just get up every day and continue down that path. And so those are the people that I want to try to reach a little bit more, give them a little bit of motivation, inspiration, as well as some tips on what they can actually do.
Yeah, I think the first thing, the important word there was traction, was getting some momentum. It's really, really hard if you're starting off from nothing to get momentum. You've done it twice now. You've done it with your own business, and you've done it with your YouTube channel, which is over 1 million subscribers now, which is incredible. How did you start getting traction in that sort of way? How did you sort of start your channel, and how did that build?
So I think with anything, it's really important that you understand it's a consistency that will pay off. I know this is not going live, but 4 years ago today, I posted to my Facebook account that I had hit 1 million views on my channel. I had 7,000 subscribers and 1 million views on my channel. I was so proud. Like 7,000 subscribers. It's so big, and 1 million views. And I stand here now exactly 4 years later with 1.1 million subscribers and 162 million views. And I know that because I had to look it up to make that post. It's just amazing. And the thing to understand is I am not all that amazing. I had below average talent. If you watch my videos, the early ones, they're embarrassing. The production quality sucks. I'm nervous as anything. Everything just sucked. And it took me 1 to 2 full days to make one video. And it was just by doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. And here I am 6,000 videos later on my channel over 4 years. And that's how we grew from 7,000 subscribers to 1.1 million. And so it's not that I'm super talented or smart. It's just that I put in a lot of work to make it happen on a daily basis. And so I think for people who have a goal, I think we tend to really overestimate what we can do in a short amount of time. People want to start a podcast, they want to start a channel, they want to get known on Instagram, and if it doesn't happen in 2 months, they're defeated. Like nothing's going to happen in 2 months. You have to keep putting in the work and the effort, and that's why it's so important that you really love the thing that you're doing, because otherwise it's really hard to keep going when you hate doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, blimey, 6,000 videos. It's incredible. 6,000 videos is what I think was, because I've watched some of your earlier videos as well, and what comes across is you're just very genuine. And I think that's what you can't fake. And I know you said you're not particularly talented on that, but the talent is the fact that you're genuine, and people can get that. In a world, the self-development world, what we find a lot of is there isn't much. It's hard to find who's genuine and who's not. And you're one of the guys that is genuine, and I believe that's why you're carrying on. And I think it's the time span, 4 years of constantly doing this, doing your videos, producing your videos, touring, speaking to people. It must be such a different world that you live in from 4 years ago. How has your life changed in them 4 years?
How has my life changed in 4 years? That's an interesting question. I think on one hand, I'm so grateful and happy because I'm still doing work that I love. I love doing the videos 4 years ago. I love meeting people and speaking and everything 4 years ago. And I still love doing what I'm doing now. And the minute that I stop loving it, I will move to something else. So if I stop loving making videos, then I will quit YouTube and move to something else. And I'm sure at some point that's coming. At 30 years, YouTube may not even be around anymore. Yeah. We'll be talking through VR and contact lenses and simulations and all that stuff. So from that perspective, I think I'm so happy with the work is not all that different. Like the intention behind the work is not all that different. The only thing that's changed is the scale. So, 4 years ago, I don't know who I had on my team. Probably had a couple people, maybe 1 or 2 people on my team. Now on the YouTube side alone, there's 8 of us. I have people on my teams in the other businesses, and we're able to reach a lot more people. As I bring on the people to complement what I suck at, I can do what I'm great at and what I enjoy and want to be even better at. And so that allows me to go from, when I did everything myself, I was doing 1 video a week. And then when I got an editor, I could go to a video a day. And then when I got 2 editors, I can go to 2 videos a day. And when I got a researcher, right? So as I built my team, we're doing 3 videos every day. I think where people need to really get perspective on is that, one, there's always room for quality. Yeah. A lot of people will look up to a channel like mine and say, well, Evan's already got it, and so I can't do anything because, look, he's got 8 people, and how can I compete? I'm never going to have a chance. There's always room for quality. You can find what makes your voice authentic. I don't know that authenticity is a talent. I think everybody can do it. I think you have an authentic voice. You have an opinion on something, and get used to sucking at the start. I'm sure your first podcast is way worse than what you're doing now.
yeah, of course. Like, and I'd assume these ones will be when I get.
Yeah, we're going to look back on this in 5 years and laugh at both of ourselves, right? And that's great. Like, I think people expect to be good right away. Just because you can see how, Michael Jordan dunks a basketball doesn't mean that you can go out and do it. And so it can come with a lot of practice, but I think people expect to be amazing right out of the gate. And when they don't reach it, then they quit and they give up. So there's always room for quality at the top, but it's going to take you time. I'm a big believer that the quantity leads to the quality. Yeah. That you need to put in the reps so that you can get really, really, really good at the thing that you want to be the best in the world at.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and that goes to stand with exercise, with everything. You need to put in the work. What I think you're very, very good at is storytelling. I think you've got the art of storytelling down, and you use other people's stories and tell their stories. And I think what you do really well is people. There's two elements that I understand from storytelling is hope and fear, and every story has to have hope and fear in it. And people come to you with a fear that they're not going to get anywhere, and you give them the hope through those stories that they will and they can. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the comment. Storytelling is something that we've been working really hard at, especially recently. I still don't feel like we're amazing at it, but I appreciate the words. It's something that we're still striving to be better at. And it's true. People learn through stories. People learn through examples. You can tell people what to do, but when they hear the story, when they see that this is what Steve Jobs did or Oprah Winfrey did or David Beckham did, then it makes it more real. It has more emotional strings that you can pull on, and they're more likely to follow through. I'm a big believer in modeling success. I'm sure you are too. And I think you should model the success of people in your industry who've done it. So me looking at Bill Gates, how did he build software? What can I learn from him? But also just model the person that you like the best. If you love Oprah Winfrey and you've got nothing to do with the media industry, you just really love her, there's a lot that you can learn from her story that you can apply to whatever you're trying to do. And you're more likely to follow through because of the emotional connection that you have to Oprah. And so for whoever the person is, if you love Gordon Ramsay, but you never want to open up a restaurant, there's a lot that you can learn from him to apply to your life. And you're more likely to follow through because you feel that connection. The story is important.
Yeah, and the connection is important, and I think it's because you're doing something genuine that was a problem that you solved for yourself, and now you're helping solve it in others. That's a genuine connection, and that comes across in the things that you write, in the videos that you do. So your book, One Word, is about finding your one word, but a lot of these things go in there: finding your connection, finding things about other people that you don't necessarily like, so you want to do the opposite. And finding your word. So could you do, like, for anyone listening, a brief sort of overview of the book and how it works and how you find your one word?
Did you find yours?
Yes, I did. Yeah, mine's integrity.
Integrity. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, I believe everybody has a single most important core value. And if you don't know what that is, then it's your first job in life to figure out what that is. I think it's one of the most important questions that you can ever ask yourself, because it allows you to determine the life that you want to live instead of playing by somebody else's rules. Everybody will have an opinion on what you should do. Everybody has a design for your life, from your parents to your siblings to wherever you're working to your customers. Like, everybody has a plan for your life. And if you don't know what you stand for, then you don't know what you stand against. And you'll always be pulled in multiple directions. And that leads to a lack of clarity. A lot of people feel like they're walking in the mud. They know their life may not suck, but they know that there's another level that they could be playing at. They just don't know how to reach it. And so my answer is figuring out your one word, most important core value. It's a thing that you hold most true and dear to you, that when you figure it out, it allows you to design a life and a business, for the entrepreneurs listening, that serves you, and to attract the people into your life that feel the same way. And so if Richard's is integrity, then he wants to be around people who have high integrity. Mm-hmm. So if Richard's launching a new website, great. So yes, you're going to hire a programmer who has all the skills to do the PHP code and implement all the technology, but that person better have high integrity, or they're not going to work well with Richard. It's going to be the worst website design experience ever, because it just goes so much against Richard's core value. And so I think it's really important that you're leading with your core value, that if Richard's putting out a job ad for a programmer, he's saying, I want a programmer who has integrity. And then you lead with that, what integrity means to you. And what's going to happen is some people will look at that and say, this is the stupidest job ad I've ever seen in the world. Integrity? What does that matter? I'm a programmer. Great. Don't apply. Like, don't even waste either of our times, because that's not going to be a good fit. This is going to be a terrible relationship for all of us. And other people will look at that and say, I love this. Finally, I hate working with clients who have no integrity. This is amazing. And so people are self-selecting in. And that's the guy that Richard wants to work with. And so the more you're putting your message out there, the more you're putting out the vibe of, here are the people that, here's what I believe in, you will start to attract the people who are great fits. And that's partners, that's customers, that's spouses, that's friendships, that's groups. Most people don't know what they stand for. And so this is why they have a challenge in being able to plot the right course for their life.
And going on that, you're talking about it tracks the same people. Obviously, you've got your wife and your son, I believe.
Yeah.
So there they are. And they play a massive part in your day-to-day life, and they're obviously incredibly important to everything you're doing. How has becoming a dad changed the way you work, the way you see the world? Because I'm not a dad yet, and I'm hoping to be a dad within the next year, but how has that changed the world? Because I cannot wait. I'm 37 soon, so I need to get on with it, but I imagine your whole understanding of the world must change.
So I'm 37 now, so it's an awesome experience. I would say a couple things. I would say, one, it helps put things in perspective. whatever challenge you're facing now, whatever big problem you think is in front of you, the things that we get upset about, we get upset that the elevator takes 20 seconds longer than it should be, and that ruins our day, or somebody cuts us off in traffic, especially London traffic. That is nutso.
It is, yeah.
Right? And that can ruin our entire day. And just perspective to think, I have this amazing human being that I'm caring for at home, and how much joy he's brought into my life really helps me in those moments of feeling basically like the thing that I'm worried about doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. This thing that I think is so all important does not really matter. This is not really a big problem. Two, it made me, when you have a child, it's a strange feeling in that they're totally dependent on you. If you get married, they're dependent on you. It's a codependency, but you can function without them. They add to your life, but a child cannot function without you. It's absolute dependency on the mother and father, or sometimes only one. And so that absolute dependency just made me put more love and care and want to give more in the content that I'm creating. I wanted to love more for my audience. I know a lot of people watch my videos and they watch it with their kids. Maybe not newborns, but they're watching it with their kids, and I'm a part of their morning routine. They wake up and they eat breakfast with their kids before they go to school, and they turn on one of my videos. That's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of pressure. I love it. I love being able to have that impact. But I think being a father has really helped me put more love into the work that I'm doing, and increase the importance.
It is an incredible thing. I can't think of anything more amazing to be than a parent, to be honest. And I think that must change the way you sort of obviously work. That will change your physical day-to-day working. But you mentioned it changes the things that wind you up and the things that are important. So being in the position you are now and doing so as well as you're doing, and you've done, what are your, well, let's go with fears first, because I find that really... The fears that you had then, obviously, were probably monetary about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even a bit longer. Now they won't be as much. So what are your fears at the moment?
So the biggest fear is always regret. I think it always has been for me, and it always will be. And I alluded to it earlier on in the interview that the thing that got me to want to say yes to this startup company where I'm making $300 a month versus take that high-paying job was fear of regret. So what happened that led to that was the year before, I was in Paris. I was single. I was traveling around. I was by the Notre Dame Cathedral, and there's this river next to it. And I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go next. And I have my map open. And this French girl comes up and asks me for directions. And she's a cute French girl. I wanna ask her out, maybe go for a coffee or something. And I'm thinking, wait, why is she even asking me for directions in French? It's like there's something fishy about that. Okay. So, okay, Evan, let's go get some courage here, and let's ask her out. But I don't ask her out. I just tell her where to go. Like, where's the Champs-Élysées? Oh, it's here. Great. So I chicken out, and she leaves. She walks across the other side of the river, and I'm so upset at myself for what just happened. I was so upset that I was playing small. And so I took a picture. I tried to catch her in the picture. And when I went home, these are back in the days of actually having to develop film. I realized she wasn't even in the picture that I took. There's these markets, and she kind of slipped behind the market. But anyway, I took that picture and I put it up on my wall, like these big pictures here. And it was a reminder for myself that the next time something like that came around, I'm just going to do the scary thing, that I don't want to live in regret. Like, what would have happened if I just asked that girl out? What would have happened if I just said yes to that opportunity, or I just had the bravery to go and do that conference or take that speaking gig, or whatever the thing is that you're so afraid to do. And so this is what Jeff Bezos' strategy is from Amazon. And he fast forwards his life to 90, 100, or 500 years old, however long we'll be living by that time. And says, when I look back at my life, will I regret? I want to have as few regrets as possible by the time I die. And so I had this picture up on my wall, and I never told anybody the story. it just looked like this beautiful French, city scenery. But for me, it was a reminder every single day that I'm not going to live in regret. And so when the opportunity came to join this startup company, I had been looking at this picture for 6 months or 8 months and realized, okay, this is it. I'm afraid to do this. I'm turning down my dream jobs that I thought I wanted to do this scary thing, but I don't want to live with regret. It's still something that fuels me today. I love making the videos selfishly for myself. It's amazing that you watch them and your audience may watch them, and there's so many fans rely on them. Ultimately, they're for me because I want to be around people who are doing bigger things and they push me. My biggest fear still is that I'm losing time, that I'm not hitting my potential, that I could have done more, that I could have helped more people, not in a negative way, but in a push forward. I don't want to be on my rocking chair, on my deathbed looking back and say, you know what, I coasted. Like, I did well, I made money, and then I kind of coasted through my 30s, 40s, 50s. I hate that. I hate that idea. And so that drives me. I think it always will. I don't know. It might change when I'm 60 or 70 years old. But for my adult life, the biggest fear has always been regret.
And that's, I think it's the same fear. I know you've interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, and I think that's the same fear he says he has. Is the biggest thing is regret not trying things and trying to do things. And I think that there's regret of not doing things, and then there's regret of doing things as well. But there's always seems to be an element of regret. So that's your fear. What is your hopes for the future? What are you hoping to do?
Well, I would say, honestly, I think our biggest regrets are the ones are the missed opportunities.
Yeah.
I don't think there's now, if you go out and kill somebody, okay, you're going to regret that.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, I think if people listening to this really do an audit for themselves and like, what do you really regret? Most of the time it's missed chances. There's opportunities not taken when they're in front of you. And so I would try to inoculate myself against that as much as possible. In terms of hopes, I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem. What I'm doing is not possible. I don't think you can reach human potential, but I'm going to take my best stab at it. There's a great quote. I think it's Buddha, or an example where I wake up every day and I try to empty the ocean with a spoon. It's like you'll never do it, but I still wake up every day and I do it because I'm helping some people. I'm filling my bucket, and so I think people need a big mission that will never get accomplished. Something that inspires you, that will be multi-generational. Because it's, hitting your goal is a very sad thing. It's great. I hit my goal and then, now what?
Yeah, now what? Yeah.
And that drives a lot of sadness and a lot of depression. And a lot of people sabotage themselves before they hit their goal because they want to keep having that strive. And so I think it's really important to have goals. I think it's super important. But I think the overall goal for you should be a really powerful mission that you will never accomplish. So, my hope is that everybody finds what they have Michael Jordan level talent at, and they go and do that thing and live their version of their lives and not somebody else's. That's never going to happen. But if I can convert a couple million people along the way, I'll be pretty happy with it.
That reminds me, you talked about drain the ocean, and it reminds me of that fable of the young lady's walking across on sand, and she's throwing starfish into the back into the water. I don't know if you've heard about this one.
No.
And there's thousands and thousands on the beach, thousands, and she's throwing one in and one at a time. This guy comes along and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm trying to I'm saving all the starfish." And she goes, "Well, there's thousands here. You'll never do it, and you never make any difference." And then she picks one up, throws it in. She goes, "Well, I made a difference to that one." Another one. I made a difference to that one, and that seems like the same sort of thing that you're doing. The fable is obviously that you're making a difference one person at a time, and your videos are making an incredible amount of difference. It's made a difference to me. It's made a difference to everybody that's read your book. You don't get as many followers as you've got for no reason. And I think you should be incredibly proud of what you're doing, and I'm sure that you are. I'm sure. Does your little boy know what you do? Does he know what Daddy does for a living?
He does. He's understanding more about kind of the impact, and he's been in a couple of the videos. He's in, every couple of weeks he's in. Sometimes he really wants to be an entertainer and be a part of it, and sometimes he just wants to do his own thing.
Yeah.
Whatever he ends up deciding that he wants to do is awesome. To your point about, being proud of what you're doing, I think it's really important to be really proud and grateful for what you have, and also always feel like you suck. I think both are important. I look at my channel and I have these conversations with people, and I look at my channel and I'll be trashing my channel. So like, man, I need to do better. I need to get better as a speaker. I need to pick better content. My entire team needs to get better. How do we move to 8 videos a day instead of 3? Because people are saying, wow, 3 videos a day, that's impossible. No, that's nothing. Like, we should be pushing harder. How do we get even better? Because that's the mindset that I have always going through. And they're saying, you shouldn't be so hard on your channel. You have a great channel. Like, what are you talking? My channel deserves a Nobel Prize. Yeah. I love my channel. I have the best channel in the world. So I hold both thoughts at the same time. I'm so proud of what I do, and I know the impact that it's having, and I know that I suck, and I need to go out and continue to do more. And I don't know if it's just me, if I'm just a weird, crazy bird like that. I think it's healthy. I think it's really important that you push yourself forward, not down. I think too many people use a comparison to somebody else as a push down, and they say, well, I suck and I can't get better, and so my life sucks. No, I suck and I'm going to be awesome. Like, I look at young Les Brown. He's my favorite speaker. Young Les Brown is my guy. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be like young Les Brown, but that's like the aspirational target. I look at him and I get inspired. I have Steve Jobs behind me on my wall. I may never have the impact Steve Jobs has, but that doesn't mean that I hate myself and I'll never get there. Like, I'm going to do my best. His story inspires me. So I don't know if I'm just weird like that. When I explain it to people, they don't always get it. But I think it's super healthy to have both. Be insanely proud for everything you have, and you deserve it, and you are amazing. And you suck, and you need to get a million times better.
No, I do get that. I get that. And I know that people can swing from that from day to day, moment to moment, and can switch between the two. Evan, thank you for your time. It's been incredible. What I would like to see on your channel, from a personal point, is more stories about yourself and more about you, because people they tune in to listen to you, and I know you do a lot of top 10 successes of other people's, but you've got more than your own top 10 success. So I would like personally to hear more from your own stories, your own life, your own feelings, and your own thoughts, especially feelings, because people want to connect with you. And I would like to see, from a personal standpoint, more from you as you, if that's any good at all. But Evan, where can people find your work? Where can they find your YouTube channel, your Facebook page, your website?
Yeah, I think wherever people are hanging out on social media, I'm probably there. The YouTube channel and my books are probably what I'm best known for. So the books, Amazon, review by books. YouTube, search Evan Carmichael. If you want kind of one-on-one, I like making video replies to people on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. So if anybody is on those platforms and have a question that they want to follow up with, I usually make like 15-second replies while I'm working out at the gym. Yeah. So that's a way to get more personal. Yeah,
I will say that Evan's has replied to a couple of ours, which we've been very, very grateful for. And when you first did it, I was like, oh my God, he's actually replied. This is great. So we even copied it and sent it across. So Evan does do that. Evan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know that you've got a very busy day. If you come over to England, we'd love to see you. We'd love to meet up, do some video work with you. My background's in film and TV production, so I'm a documentary filmmaker, and I'd love to do some sort of film work with you at some point if you're ever over in the UK or we come to America, to Canada. So that would be amazing. But thank you so much for taking this hour. Love to you, your boy, and the wife, and we'll share this around our platforms as well, and feel free, if I send you the video, to use it yourself. But thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Guys, if you want to connect with Evan, go on his YouTube channel, Evan Carmichael. I do highly recommend his book, Your One Word. It's an incredible book. It's written in a way that it would really practically help you find the reason why you're getting out of bed in the morning, and therefore you will stay out of bed because you want to. And for me, that is incredibly important. So thank you, Evan, for taking the time to speak to us.
I appreciate it, Richard. And, super quick one, like when I'm in London next, really excited to connect and make something together. And two, I just want to acknowledge you for you got a really great vibe, man. Like it's really, it's soft and gentle in a good way. Thursdays for me, I'm always doing podcast interviews. It's a crazy day, rushed back to back stuff. And this for me is a nice reset. It's a nice exercise in mindfulness to me. And I really appreciate your different, the vibe you put off, the tone, and the mission that you're on. I think is really important. And truly, I wish you a ton of success in what you're doing, and encourage you to keep the podcast going. And I'm really excited to see where you take all of this.
Bless your heart. Thank you so much. And I'd love to do this again at some point. So please do stay in contact.
Let's do it, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.